You've probably been told the same advice your entire life. Work hard, save money, be responsible, avoid risk. And if you follow those rules long enough, one day you'll be financially secure. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people who follow those rules their entire lives never actually become wealthy. They become stable, predictable, replaceable, which raises an uncomfortable question. What if the problem isn't your discipline? What if the problem is the game you're playing? Because while you've been trying to win by working harder, someone else has been winning by playing a completely different game. And the strangest part, most people never realize the difference. They just keep following the same rules in a game that was never designed for them to win. Think about how money usually works in your life. You study, you get a job, you trade hours for income, and every month you try to manage the balance. Rent, food, bills, maybe a little savings. And if things go well, you slowly increase your lifestyle. A better phone, a better apartment, a better car, which feels like progress, but something strange happens along the way. The harder you work, the more responsibility you carry. The more you earn, the more expensive your life becomes. And somehow, despite doing everything right, financial freedom always seems just out of reach. This is where most people assume the problem is effort, so they work harder. But effort isn't the real issue. The real issue is that most people are playing the employee version of the money game, and that version has very different rules. The first rule of the traditional money game is simple. Income equals security. If you want a better life, you increase your salary, more education, more hours, more promotions, which makes perfect sense until you notice the hidden flaw. Income stops the moment your effort stops. If you stop working, the money stops arriving. And when money depends entirely on your time, your life becomes a negotiation between exhaustion and survival. This is why even high earners can feel trapped. Doctors, lawyers, executives, many of them earn incredible salaries, but their lifestyle depends on maintaining that income, which means they haven't escaped the system. They've simply upgraded their position inside it. The rich, however, quietly play a different version of the game. Their focus isn't income, it's ownership. Ownership changes the rules entirely. When you own something that produces value, your effort is no longer the only source of income. A business, an investment, a digital product, a piece of intellectual property, something that continues working even when you stop. This is called leverage. Instead of trading 1 hour for one payment, leverage allows one action to produce value repeatedly. A YouTube video can generate views for years. A software tool can sell thousands of times. An investment can grow while you sleep, which means the game shifts from effort to systems. Employees focus on working more. Owners focus on building once. And that difference quietly compounds over time. Here's another uncomfortable truth. The system most people follow was never designed to create wealth. It was designed to create stability. Stability is valuable, but stability is not freedom. A stable life is predictable. Predictable income, predictable expenses, predictable retirement, which means the system works perfectly as long as your goal is security. But wealth requires something different. It requires asymmetry. Situations where the upside is much larger than the downside. Investments, entrepreneurship, ownership, things that can grow faster than your time. This is why the wealthy often appear to take risks, but what they're really doing is playing a different version of the game. Another rule of the traditional money game is scarcity. Most people are trained to think about money in terms of limitation. Can I afford this? What if I lose money? What if things go wrong? These questions feel responsible, but they also shrink opportunity. When your focus is avoiding loss, you automatically avoid risk. And when you avoid risk, you avoid ownership, because ownership always carries uncertainty. A business might fail, an investment might fluctuate, a new idea might not work. But here's the paradox. Avoiding risk feels safe in the short term, yet it often creates long-term financial stagnation. While the wealthy don't eliminate risk, they reframe it. Instead of asking, what if this fails? They ask, what if this works? Most people think money is the most valuable resource, source. But wealthy thinkers quietly prioritize something else: time. Money can be earned again, time cannot. When your income depends entirely on your hours, your earning potential becomes capped by your schedule. 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. Even if you work constantly, there's a limit. Systems remove that limit. A system can work while you sleep, while you travel, while you focus on something else. This is why many wealthy individuals obsess over scalability, not because they're greedy, but because scalable systems break the relationship between time and income. Once you understand this difference, something strange happens. You begin noticing two completely different financial mindsets. One mindset asks, how can I earn more? The other asks, how can I build something that keeps earning? One mindset focuses on effort, the other focuses on leverage. One sells time, the other multiplies it. And over 10 years, those two approaches produce dramatically different outcomes. Not because one group works harder, but because one group builds systems, while the other maintains them. So here's the truth most people never hear. You're not bad with money. You're not lazy. You're not incapable of building wealth. You may simply be playing the wrong game. A game where the rules reward stability instead of ownership. A game where effort matters more than leverage. A game where working harder feels like progress, even when it isn't. But once you see the difference, you can't unsee it. You start questioning the rules. You start noticing opportunities that once looked invisible. You stop asking, how do I work harder? And start asking, what can I build that keeps working? Because wealth rarely comes from winning the traditional game. It comes from stepping outside it and playing a different one entirely. And the moment you realize that, the rules of money start looking very different. The question is no longer how hard you're willing to work. The real question becomes something else. What game are you actually playing?